We have news of a huge move by Michael Rubin of Fanatics. And does it mean that the sports card hobby is really becoming more and more a sports betting operation? Let's talk about it. Hello to all my sports card collectors, investors, all of my collectibles friends. How are we doing? It is another day. It is another sports card video. We've got some interesting news today, and we're going to tie it into a larger talking point. If you like all the sports card collectibles type talk, we're coming with almost daily content. Please hit the big red button below, subscribe, like if you like, and also the notification bell so you are notified every time a new video comes out, and they come out often. Also, connect with me on IG at Sports Card Dad, and I'm also on the Twitter, the Sports Card Dad. All right, guys, big announcement out of Michael Rubin, the king of Fanatics. He has announced that he is selling off his portion of ownership from the Philadelphia 76ers. As many know, he is a part owner of the 76ers. I believe it was 10% is his holding, and he is moving to sell off. And he explains through his IG account just kind of why and how this has come about. He is talking about how he's moving from owner back to lifelong fan. So certainly we'll still be a part of that community, but he explains that he is selling off because of sports betting rules. Of course, if you are an owner of an NBA team and then you also happen to be in the sports betting world, there is a conflict of interest there, or there could be a conflict of interest perceived. And so he is moving to sell off his piece because of part of the sports card and collectible stuff that they have bought into. It's been in the news. We've talked about it quite a bit along with other channels, other media sites. They are going to expand to the sports betting world, and sports betting, sports gambling has become a $4 billion, $4.33 billion in 2021 a year industry. So it is growing. It has grown dramatically. And so when you couple that with what they're doing in sports cards, non-sports cards, collectibles and the like, and of course all the apparel stuff, Fanatics wants all of it. They're getting in on all of the pieces of the pie. This of course raises an even bigger question of, the sports card hobby as we know it and the sports card hobby that I grew up with, it's dramatically changing. And is it becoming more of a sports betting type of operation, more so than a hobby? And what I mean by that is I kind of see things, if you read between the lines, kind of look at the writing on the wall, it kind of feels like the hobby will be broken up into two segments. And of course, there will be some crossover with this stuff. But the way I see it now is, there's a lot of content around breaks and around, big cards coming out of breaks and hits and all of that stuff. And then you have other content where it's more collector base or vintage collectors or, all the other stuff, not the new product, but the stuff from the last 100 years. And it's kind of funny when you look at it because it's two very different segments, and there's also kind of segments within those segments, subsets of the subsets. And there's also people that do both. They collect vintage cards and they also buy into breaks for cards. But the more and more I hear kind of the larger accounts, the bigger companies, there is certainly an emphasis on breaking. I mean, you saw Josh Luber went on with backyard breaks and did a big break. There's a lot of kind of media put around these monster breaks. What's the latest one? We have the Logo Man, the one of one LeBron James. That was pulled by Backyard Breaks, and now it's at auction at Golden Auctions, and there's all this hoopla and hype, around that particular card and all the excitement, etc. And again, it just kind of plays into, is this the new normal? Is this kind of the big focus? And with Fanatics as being the manufacturer, it'll be kind of interesting to see how that all plays out, as how they do it from manufacturing the cards to, it goes to a breaker, and then the breaker goes to break it goes to an auction house, actually it goes to a grading company, and then it goes to an auction house, and then it goes, I guess, to the secondary market, wherever that goes. And that's probably where eBay, I still think with all the stuff that eBay's doing, eBay's still going to be the cream of the crop as far as the secondary market goes. Of course, I think Fanatics is going to have their own marketplace as well, but I still think with all the stuff that eBay is doing that they're not going to go away. Many people will say that this has always been going on. There's always been kind of a sports betting element, whether you're buying cards of prospects and different things. But I think this really kind of takes it to the next level. I think it's going to really change the hobby as we know it forever. It's kind of the hobby that we've really known it over the last few years. The breaking and everything has increased. But it's obvious that Fanatics and a lot of these large companies, they want to continue, along those lines. And, sports betting in general, I agree, it's fun, but there's also kind of a controversy to it, because if you're someone that is trying to, make money buying and selling singles and kind of getting into the market, or you're someone new getting into the market, buying and ripping it's not necessarily the best way to make gains on cards. It's very risky. The majority of the time, I think a lot of the people that watch breaks watch because they want to see the train wreck that's about to happen. A lot of times I think people tune in to see, not necessarily to see if there is a big hit. I think that's part of it. But then the other part is to see, wow, this guy spent $5,000 on a box and got $200 in value out of it. I just don't know if sports betting being the main crux of sports card collecting is a great thing. I think it's a part of the market. I think that it always will be. And I think that there's a lot of kind of good things, fun elements to all of that stuff. But there's also a lot of people that are going to get absolutely smoked in the process. But, the same way that they get smoked when they do daily fantasy football or daily fantasy sports, etc. And so obviously everybody has to make their own decisions as to how they're going to spend their money. And look, if you've got a bunch of disposable income, I know that Drake in particular, he spends a lot of money betting, and he does really well also. He's made a lot of money. I know Charles Barkley, Michael Jordan, these guys are on the golf course betting. They've won and they've lost. I get it's a thing, but I wonder how that's going to really impact new product coming out. Because when you think about it, the average Joe consumer wants to buy a box. They want to open a box at an affordable price. I assume that Fanatics is probably just going to have cheaper stuff for those people. And then they're always going to have just kind of these higher end type things where you've got this kind of mania behind it. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe the mania kind of brings in the people, and then they get into other things. I don't really know, but as much as I think that it might be crazy to buy into a $500 break or a $1,000 break or whatever, a lot of people have fun doing it, and maybe it does bring people in to where they're like, okay, I did this. I didn't really make anything out of it, but hey, the singles over here are actually pretty good compared to what I'm paying in a break. Maybe I should be in singles over here. So maybe it is kind of a stepping stone to get people into the hobby and then move off of it so that they get into some of the other things as well, or maybe do a little bit of all of it. But this was a thought that just kind of struck me as I saw kind of Michael Rubin's announcement there. It's just obvious that the sports betting / breaking / all of that stuff, it will continue to ramp up, or at least that's what the plan is. Whether that's good for the hobby, bad for the hobby, that's going to be up for, I guess, anyone's interpretation. And let me know what you guys think. Obviously, when I got into the hobby 30 years ago, there was none of this stuff. But some would say, hey, it was a sleepy old hobby where, nobody was really that interested in it, and it didn't really have any staying power, didn't have any legs. Whereas now we have something that, it's got some staying power. You've got some big money behind it. You got big companies that are involved that are putting innovations in and different things. I would like to hear your thoughts on this particular subject. And also, are you someone that gets into kind of both of these things, whether you're out there buying vintage cards or buying singles, buying certain, 90s inserts like a lot of people do that are popular, and then also do breaks. I think there's probably room for all of that stuff. I'd like to kind of know how you hobby in particular. How do you hobby? Let me know in the comments, guys. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.